Okay guys, in today's video we're going to cover the topic of virtual worlds, digital worlds, the metaverse. Basically I'm going to cover probably about 10 to 12 different projects that I've got on my watch list. I will definitely tell you which ones I've personally already bought into, but most importantly I'm just going to go over some of the projects that I think every one of you guys that are interested in these topics should be following and what they are currently doing. So to start our list, we're going to be looking at the Otherside, which is basically Bored Ape Yacht Club, Mutant Yacht Club. It's their digital land. When the piece of land came on sale, it was trading for about 305 ApeCoin. ApeCoin at the time of the sale was $25 a piece, and then at the time when Ethereum was at that price, it was about 2 Ethereum a piece. So this is the current land. There is currently 100,000 pieces of land. The total amount of land for this metaverse will be 200,000, and then there's not going to be a second sale. What there will be instead is that by interacting with the land and growing it through challenges and other community events, the land will basically drop and grow and expand that way. So it will be grown from engagement and challenges with the existing 100,000 lands and not just do a secondary sale. And in at number 2 is Decentraland. So as you can read here, Decentraland is an Ethereum-based blockchain virtual world developed and owned by its users who can create, experience and monetize content and applications. So the land prices are currently 2.3 Ethereum each, and then the total amount of volume traded is 241,000 Ethereum. And with Decentraland, some of the most notable things is that they did a digital fashion show. They do quite a lot of digital concerts. So there is a lot happening in Decentraland already. And it's just definitely number 2 on the list, both in volume and just as a good project to hold. The main thing that concerns me is the amount of owners. So if you look at the amount of items, there's roughly 100,000 pieces of land, but there's not even 10% of the land. So each owner roughly is holding 12 pieces of land each, where if you were to compare it to something like the other deeds or Otherside, there is, for the 100,000 items, there's a lot more individual holders compared to Decentraland. Coming in at number 3 is Sandbox. It is by far one of the most talked about projects with big companies such as they've got big partners with Snoop Dogg, they've got Atari, they have the South China Morning Post, and actually a lot of Hong Kong land developers. But basically what you need to know is the floor price is 2.1 ETH. The total volume is much lower than Decentraland as well as the Otherside. However, the amount of land is about 160,000 and the amount of owners is 21,000, which is a lot more impressive to me than the Decentraland, which means that there's just too many holders for Decentraland. So for me, between the two of these, I'm currently eyeing Sandbox a lot more. However, the monetization and how that's going to come into play, that's a bit concerning. So that's the main reason why I haven't bought the Sandbox yet. But it's definitely on my watch list. Enough talking about Metaverse land and land that I haven't bought. Let's talk about some land that I actually have bought, and that way it makes a lot more sense, as well as you guys can see where my angle is and my focus is. So I think the best place to start when talking about land that I actually own, the first place has to be Splinterlands. This will basically, so Splinterlands land has always been a great investment for me. I got in before it sold out, so I managed to get some land at $20 a piece, which now I think its pricing is about $150. We can quickly go to, but correct me if I'm wrong, it should be about $150 a piece. It had an all-time high of $800, so there could be potential for a beautiful growth, and it could be a really good time to buy some Splinterlands. Let's quickly go to plot. Okay, so it's $158 for a piece of plot in Splinterlands. They are not planning to release any more land, so if you do want to buy it, you have to buy it from the existing players. Yeah, basically, if you believe in Splinterlands and you like the Splinterlands game, the land will be one of the most sought after assets in the game. I will say that they have been slow on their development of land, and that's been a bit disappointing. Land was meant to be released at the end of 2021, and now it's expected to be released at the beginning of 2023, so they're going to be nearly a year and a few months late. But I don't know, good things like take time to build, I believe, and this is going to be the second game of Splinterlands. So if you like the card game, they're basically going to build like a land community town builder type game, and that's what will be done on the lands. So it's always a good thing to build. So I'm still bullish on Splinterlands. I do want to see what they build, but $150 to get in is really not that bad considering what you can potentially get. The next game is Ember Sword. I own 2 pieces of land in Ember Sword, and this is basically, I would say, the budget version of Mirandus. So Mirandus is Gala Games MMORPG, where once again you can buy land and build on your land. Same thing with Ember Sword. So it's basically, you don't have to choose one or the other, you can go both ways. But Ember Sword to me is a much lower barrier to entry. I think you can get a piece of land for less than 0.2 Ethereum, so roughly $150 to $200 a piece, depends on where the land is located and what type it is. But it's a game that I'm currently believing in. They've released some beta tests, and we'll see what happens in the future. The next bit of land that I bought into, and I probably shouldn't have because the price of land dropped quite heavily, is Big Time. So bigtime.gg. The best way I can describe it is it's a third person like rogue runaround. It kind of reminds me of if you ever played Warframe. It's very, very similar to Warframe, except in the third person and not the first person. So you log in, you have your adventurers, there's 4 different types, so think tank, assassin, mage type thing, and then you basically run around through the world. It's also it tries to be an MMORPG, and then the main deal is that you have land, and that land is yours to develop and build on. And I bought some epic land. I bought some like epic medium and epic small, I believe, and then maybe like a few pieces of rare. So once again, I think it's a pretty good time to get into. If you're interested in Big Time, definitely check it out. They've been releasing their beta test and it should be available. So if you want, you can buy like a Jade or Ruby pass and access the beta, and you can check the game out. If not, I will be releasing some gameplay on my YouTube shortly. Go over some honorable mentions. So these are going to be honorable mentions for other metaverse projects that you can keep an eye on. So the first one is going to be NFT Worlds. This is basically like a Minecraft metaverse. So they actually currently use a lot of they're compatible with Minecraft, and you basically will link the world that you buy into the Minecraft world, and then you can build on it as much as you want. So with that said, the floor price is very high. It's higher than the other world, but there's obviously a lot less supply with only 10,000 supply. But once again, the amount of owners to the amount of items is disproportionate. I typically don't like it when 100% of the land is owned, when the ratio is less than 10%. I like it like 50. Obviously there's very few land projects that have 50%, but that's just how I prefer it. But definitely has to be an honorable mention. It's got quite a decent amount of volume traded with 49,000 Ethereum. Another one is Worldwide Webland, half the amount of volume traded, but at a much cheaper floor price. And then this is a much more appealing ratio where there's 9.5 thousand items, but then 4.5 thousand owners. So ratio is basically like 2 pieces of land to every one. But obviously there'll be some whales that hold 10 or more pieces of land, and then there'll be a whole bunch of people that just own 1 piece of land. But that's a much nicer ratio that appeals to me. The next one is Blocktopia. So Blocktopia is kind of an interesting one, where they basically have built this virtual tower, and then you can buy land in this tower, and then you can rent out your land or use the land and build the digital shop and do advertisements, and there's a whole bunch of just one second. There's a whole bunch of unique monetization, but it'll be this. So like, for example, if we go to floor 1, I don't think this is floor 1, this seems like floor, let me check. It is floor 1. But basically what you'll see is that all the purple ones are sold out, the grey ones aren't available, or they're coming soon, and then the teal ones are for sale. And basically what will happen is, when users join this digital tower, there'll be like an entrance here, and then there'll just be shops and ads and towers. They have a whole bunch of they had a good amount of partners on this project, including things like Binance, Jake Paul, KuCoin, if I remember correctly, BitBoy. They've got some pretty good A-listers, and then yeah, like I said, Amoka Brands, as you can see. So it's this digital tower of digital land. It's just worth checking out. I did get burnt pretty bad on their token, so if you look at the block token, they had a very crazy run. So what happened is, they came out, they pumped really hard, there was a lot of hype for this project, and then I think they just failed to meet expectations, and then we hit the bear market, and now we're currently trading here. But if you do believe in this project, it is a very cheap time to buy into the project and buy some land, so that is a possibility. We've done honorable mentions for the Metaverse. I think now it's time to do some honorable mentions for the NFT gaming. So the first honorable mention has to go to Star Atlas. So the lands itself aren't out yet. They've kept delaying it, which is not a good sign. And to be honest, if you look at the prices, some of their ships, I think the prices dropped by like 66%. The token itself has dropped a lot, so a lot of these are like not good signs. But if you believe in the developers and you believe in the project and you think it's going to go up, eventually when they release their lands, what you'll end up doing is, when you play the game, you'll run around and then you'll drop your claim to that planet, and then you'll have to put in a space station, a power plant, a mining plant, and then you can start extracting resources from your claimed planet. And then the amount of staking tools and power plants and space stations, that is a finite amount, and that's basically the land that you'll buy. So there might be an infinite amount of planets, but there won't be an infinite amount of tools to claim those planets. So it's up to you to buy these and use them in the game. So Star Atlas, definitely worth checking out. The next one's Axie Infinity. So I've had my eyes on these pieces of land for such a long time, and it's always just been a game that I've been interested in. I played Axie a lot last year, but with the decline of Axie itself and the price of Axie, like I remember buying Axies at 0.2, 0.3 Ethereum, and that's when Ethereum was like 2,000 to 3,000 US dollars a piece. So to see the game in its current state is kind of sad. Definitely worth monitoring the land itself, because it's actually stayed pretty consistent. But you should, if they manage to fix the main game, then land will skyrocket. Like at one stage this was easily 3 Ethereum a piece, so I think it's undervalued, but considering where the game is, it's not undervalued. It's more just, if Origins manages to salvage the game to get it back to its glory days, then land could also be a huge, like a great investment, but if not, it might just be underwhelming. The next bit of gaming land that has to be acknowledged is basically there's a ton of different like land deeds available for Gala Games. Gala Games is going to be the Steam of the NFT game space. There are so many different games. This isn't even a fraction of the games. I think this is only 2 of their games. You'll see things like Legacy, you'll see Eternal Paradox. Those are the 2 most recent ones that have had their land deed sales, which have sold out. The main thing about Gala Games that I don't like is that they know what they're doing, which is a good and a bad thing. So the bad thing is that when they release their lands, most other game developers will release it at like 20 to 50 US dollars, and then players will take that and then go on the secondary market and then sell it for 1 to 3 Ethereum. Gala Games doesn't do that. They basically know that people are willing to pay 1 to 3 Ethereum for their land, and they list it at that price. And then you get this weird situation where people want their land, but very few sane people are going to spend 26 like Ethereum on a land deed, or 17, and like they release some at 2, some at 5, 100, 700. It just scales up and it gets a bit silly. So what ends up happening is, the earlier you get in on Gala Games, the cheaper the asset is, and then as more of them sell, the more expensive the asset gets. So normally it's much more viable just to go to OpenSea and then trade some land there. But like, I think their most iconic game, and the one that I'm looking forward to the most, Mirandus, the cheapest bit of land will be about 1.8 ETH for a town, just a general, a level 1 plot. But they've already got tons of games, and lots of these games will have land deeds. So it's definitely just something worth checking out. Let me know what you guys are buying, and I'll let you know if I do pull the trigger buying some Otherside or Sandbox. Catch you guys in the next one.